Hello everybody, this is ManuS and welcome back to another Eternal news episode. The new set Echoes of Eternity is finally announced and we have the first batch of spoilers, so it's time for one of your probably favorite things, a spoiler review, and there are some pretty cool ones. So before we dive right in, you know the drill. Hit the subscribe button down below, turn on the notification icon to not miss out on future content. And now let's check out the first few spoilers. Alright, so first we have Dover the Fearmonger. So the set will bring us the other 5 triple faction wedges, if you want to call it that. That's what they called them in Magic at least. I'll stick with that since we don't really have a better terminology. Dover comes with Pledge, is a 5-cost 5/5, costs double influence of all 3 influences, and has Mastery 10. Play Possessed by Horrors on the enemy player, and also when you sacrifice another unit, you get to draw a card, so it plays into the whole sacrifice theme of these 3 factions, as we've already seen with the side and stuff like that, and this obviously also technically kind of plays well with the side. The problem is that the theme is a bit gimmicky, and with nerfs to cards like Slumbering Stone and Worthy Cause, I'm skeptical of how well this is going to be supported. This is still a pretty good card on raid, obviously. Let's take a look at the Possessed by Horrors. Unfortunately, the quality is pretty bad, but I couldn't find a better quality picture, so sorry about that. I'll read it to you. At the end of the cursed player's turn, play an 0/1 Nightmare Dragon with flying that gets plus attack equal to the highest attack among units in your void. So basically you get a pretty big like X1 flying at the end of each turn, so this is kind of a similar effect to Kodosh Sees All, just on a different angle, and you get it for free from a unit, so that's pretty powerful, pretty strong effect, and even if you don't go like heavy on a sex theme, the card might be good, even though I don't think the sex theme is gonna pan out that well, but it's way too early to know, so we'll have to see. Anyway, on to the next card. Next we have one of the first 5 new displays. Display of Menace. You either deal 1 damage to each enemy, kill a relic, an enemy relic, and give all relics in the enemy void voidbound. That's not that big of a deal, like the second part at least. Being able to kill a relic with a card like this is definitely decent. And the last effect is sacrifice a unit to draw 2 of the top 4 cards of your deck and put the rest on the bottom. So yeah, that's actually a pretty strong card selection effect. Basically depends a bit on how well you can support the condition, because I think that's going to be the strongest effect of the card. So you want to play it in a deck that has cards like Grenadine Drone and stuff probably, to be able to make good use of this, and the other 2 are just like secondary utility effects that come up occasionally but are more fringe. This seems like a more niche display that isn't like generically good and can just go into like good card strategies, but might be interesting in like one specific deck that can support it, because it's a fairly powerful effect and it's fast. So in the right deck, this is like way better than Wisdom of the Elders, for example. Next we have Lurking Raptors. It's a 2-cost 6/6 dinosaur that can't attack enemy players or block, but it can do some stuff. Like it can attack sites, so that's kind of meaningful, at least the way it's worded. I would assume it can attack sites, and it can use Killer, so you can put Killer on it. Also it's a dinosaur, so there is some bond stuff, like you can on turn 4 drop the 10-cost bond uncommon dinosaur, for example, so that's something. But I think the card might actually be like the most interesting just as like a 2-drop in a silence heavy deck. Like I could imagine a Combre deck with like Desert Marshal and Valkyrie Enforcer to enable this. And then this looks pretty good, like curving this into a Valkyrie Enforcer and attacking for 6 is super brutal, so it all kind of depends on like how you want to build that deck, and if there's maybe a couple of other good things that the deck can run for free to help make this card matter, like a killer effect and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely an interesting card. It requires some work and some build around, but it has fairly powerful potential, so it's an interesting card to me and kind of cool, and not like just generically good, so you can't just jam it into every deck, but you can build your deck to accommodate it and then get a pretty nice payoff. So looking forward to messing around with this already. Next we have Touch of Purity. This card's pretty underwhelming to even bad, I would say. You give one of your units lifesteal, and then you can give a unit, weapon, or spell in your hand lifesteal. It costs 2, it's fast, but effects like this are usually not worth the investment of a card. So yeah, all I can say is pretty bad probably. Maybe fine and limited. Then we have another of the 5-drop cycle. They're all pledgers, it seems. Naoki, Valiant Warrior. This card is just brutal. Charge, Endurance, and Exalted are like amazing. Card is great offense, defense, immediately hits. Opponent can't even really trade well with it, because then it just has to deal with the next bigger monster. Pledge obviously is great for your fixing and just makes the card even more flexible, but it wouldn't really need that. Then when a relic goes to your void, play a random sigil from your deck, so that's another neat bonus that can come up, but it's a bit weird and seems kind of tacked on, but why not? And then Mastery 10s, they also seem like they probably all have a Mastery 10. Like on this one, it's obviously better because you have charge, so you mastery your turn earlier than the other versions, and it's therefore more likely that you mastery, because you often can get the first attack in for free, and then the opponent basically has to make sure that they can stop the next attack, and this one is even more punishing to try and stop because it has Exalted, so if you kill it to stop the mastery, you get punished by basically wasting sort of a removal and a turn while not really accomplishing much on the board. And then yeah, the mastery plus attack and health equal to your armor to Naoki, so this is clearly meant to be played with relic weapons. Not sure if that's actually how it's gonna pan out, honestly, because aside from like the kind of forced synergies with the text on it, I don't see this card making that much sense with like relic weapon stuff, and you want to have enough units because of the Exalted, and the card is just like a really good proactive mid-range unit. This card is disgusting, and I think the card would be like see play and constructed with like half the text on it, and is very pushed. Like this is going to be one of the absolute staples of the set. We haven't seen much of the set yet, but I would bet money on this being one of the premium cards in the set. The card is just like pushed to the max, to a point where it could be that the card is pushed too much, because it just is really strong, really resilient, and has all these things attached to it. Like charge alone is such a good keyword. This is like on a power level of Icaria or even slightly above, and we all know how good Icaria is. And next we have Darktalon Vivarch, or Vivarch. It's a 4-cost 3/3 flying Aegis, which is pretty nice. Like makes it much more reliable and kind of plays nicely into the especially like Expedition Mill strategy, and Throne it's probably less appealing, since when it hits the enemy player, they discard cards from their deck until they discard a unit, so it's a pretty powerful mill effect, and the flying and Aegis make it much more likely that it gets to do its job and at least hit once or twice. So yeah, this card's pretty nice. It's also a dragon for some dragon synergies and so on. So yeah, pretty solid card, especially for Expedition. In Throne it might fall a bit short, both because the strategy is weaker and the overall power level of cards is higher, where this just kind of doesn't stack up that high in the pecking order. Yeah, that's already it for the first batch of spoilers. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Cards look pretty cool and interesting, and the quality of the cards also looks pretty good. So I'm curious to see more of the set. The set is supposed to hit early to mid-February. I think the last statement from Scarlet somewhere on Discord was, or on Reddit, that the next set is not going to hit before early February, so that means early to mid-February if there's a bit of a delay or pushback. So not too long actually, like probably in the next three weeks, less than 4 weeks I would guess, till we get this set. So that's actually pretty quick. Like I like that they're ramping up the release of content a bit, keeping the game fresh. It doesn't feel too fast yet, but seems like a good pace and a nice pickup from like this a bit slow pace beforehand. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of the cards and my evaluation of them, and how you feel about these changes to the pace of content release and stuff like that. Alright, that's it again for this time. You know the drill. If you want more info, want to support me and stuff like that, you can find all the information down in the description below. And like, subscribe, all the usual stuff to help support the content. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm your host ManuS, and I'll see you next time.